What is that, party people? Thunderstruck. So, talk to me about severe weather. I'm get excited.
All right. Here we are, boys and girls. Looks like we are under a level 1 out of 5 risk today.
Tomorrow goes up, right?
Tomorrow, we're in what is called the enhanced risk.
Holy mother of goodness.
Level 3 out of 5, or if you like the color-coded system, orange.
So, when we're talking levels...
Yes.
So what are we talking about? Like a 3 out of 5? Are we looking at hurricane-type like winds with some tornadic, kind of movement?
Well, what we're talking about is there is just the atmosphere will be such that if a thunderstorm does form, it is more likely to go severe. And then in this enhanced risk, there's also the possibility of stronger winds, larger hail, and a higher possibility of tornadoes.
So today, where are we looking at time-wise, and where are we looking at, like, as far as the map? Give us a map here. Paint the picture for everybody at home.
Everybody along and north of I-40, well, actually, let's just say this. Everybody in Middle Tennessee is under at least a level 1 out of 5 risk.
Okay.
Now, you get to Kentucky, everybody above the Tennessee line is under a level 2 out of 5 risk today between 4 o'clock this afternoon and 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, with today's storms, we're only looking at nickel to quarter-size hail as the main impact, also winds in excess of 50 miles per hour. Still enough to blow some things around. Could blow some trees or tree limbs into power lines, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Then tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, here's the deal. Isolated storms in the afternoon tomorrow, more widespread severe after 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Ooh. And that goes into tomorrow morning. And tomorrow, of course, is the enhanced risk, the orange, level 3 out of 5 risk.
It's going to be ugly, it sounds like.
It could be.
It could be. So we're going to be all hands on deck, I have a feeling.
Yep, we'll probably need to be all hands on deck just in case these things go tornadic overnight tomorrow.
All right, so I'm going to have to put on my cape. As you do. I don't have a cape. If a grown man ever had a cape, know that there's probably some special things going on. That's all I'm saying. Right?
That's like that Seinfeld. What was it, Kramer? Kept seeing some guy in a cape? It was Larry David who actually played.
Guy with a cape. That is spectacular.
But, so that's what we're looking at, Brother Chad.
Let's start with the report about Nash, because that, to me, like this, all politics is local, but really, when you start digging into real issues, the local stuff, right? Like, I tell you, your HOA is going to be more of a pain in your butt in life than the federal government at times.
Oh, yeah.
But the cost of living is insane. And as you were pointing out, you make too much for help, but you don't make enough to live.
Yeah. That's what this, the community needs evaluation, which the Tennessee published today. It's released every year by Metro Nashville Social Services, and it highlights Nashville's socioeconomic well-being. Well, this year's report focuses on the high cost of low wages, it says. And then thousands hanging off what is known as the benefits cliff, which alludes to what you just reported. You make too much, but not enough. And so this report says that a living wage in Nashville is anyone who has no responsibility to kids, making $52,858 a year. That is considered a living wage in Nashville. Again, as long as you don't have any responsibility for kids. And
God, that is... So, I mean, you think about it. If you're 30 and you don't really have a car payment or anything, but you're not living. You're just at that point where you're like, I have enough to maybe do a couple things. I have rent, covered. Maybe you've got some roommates. I mean, this isn't getting ahead.
Right. Because what happens is in Nashville, according to this report, there are at least 326,000 workers. Mind you, Nashville's like Nashville proper is like about 600 some odd thousand people. Well, more than half of them, according to this report, are working in the area's top 20 occupations, and they are hanging off that benefits cliff, which means they don't make a living wage, according to this level, but yet they make too much to qualify for any type of assistance.
The frustration level. I mean, it's when you think about why people get so frustrated with certain things, and think about this, we don't have a state tax. Could you imagine what that would be like?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only thing they get us on here are the sales taxes, and then, every year your vehicle, registration. They'll get you there. But, yeah, there's no income tax here.
It is, and I hear it. I mean, I hear it, even from the people in my building where, they're how frustrated they are, how expensive life is, and it doesn't seem to get any better. And today, the Axios has a big thing about, how Nashville's become essentially the South's version of Times Square kind of thing. Broadway and everything is like Times Square.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you go there, you come here from out of town, and you go and you party and do all those kind of things. You have no idea. Those people are barely getting by. They're working 3 jobs.
Yeah. Well, get this. CBS just posted. Here's the headline. Here's where it's toughest for the middle class to find an affordable home. It says home ownership's considered a mainstay of the American dream, but a shortage of affordable homes is blocking that pathway for many middle-income families, according to a new analysis from the National Association of Realtors. It says only 1 in 5 listed homes in March were affordable for households with at least $75,000 in annual income.
So I'm just trying to think, I've talked about this. The down payment is a killer for most people, right?
That's what kills people.
Because you can afford the payment, but you can't afford even 3%, or, you don't have disposable $25,000 if you're a first-time homeowner, unless you borrow from mom and dad.
Yeah.
Or you're living like Dave Ramsey wants you to, where you're married and you guys do okay, but you have 12 roommates, It's
yeah.
And it's...
Well, see, that's what I'm noticing in my neighborhood, Brother Chad. There's a lot of new homes being built, and they're filling up. The minute they're done, they're filling up. But here's what I'm noticing at these homes. I'm noticing 4 and 5 cars parked outside.
Yeah.
So it tells me that, either there's a lot of roommates, or maybe families are staying together in order to be able to afford.
A home.
These homes. Now, here's something else. So this report from the National Association of Realtors says to get back to the pre-pandemic level of affordable homes, the U.S. would have to add more than 400,000 new listings priced at only 255 or below.
That's not going to happen. Sorry, Freddie.
It's not, dude.
Sorry, Freddie.
I mean, where is that going to happen? It's not going to happen in major cities, I don't think.
No, you could do it in a place like Texas. This is one thing about Texas is one of those weird places where people are moving there, but you know what? They build at such a rapid pace that it is crazy. So houses are affordable, and you can, it's okay. But outside of you're never adding 400,000 homes ever in San Francisco, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Diego, and New York. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't let you build. That's part of the problem. And I saw the other day, because of the crackdown with ICE and everything. Did you see that a lot of the construction sites around here are empty?
Yeah, they're just saying they're slowing down.
Yeah, they're empty. There's nobody, like in California, good luck getting on a construction site if you don't speak Spanish. This is not going to happen. And it is becoming out of reach for people who are even doing okay. Like you thought, I get older, I'll make $70,000 a year. Well, we should be. No, that just gets you broke.
Yeah.
That's not going to be good for anybody. I'm telling you, this is, at what point, like I said, do you price everybody out of the market?
Yeah.
And the thing we've talked about, there's a great article in the USA Today the other day called the Interest Rate Rich, where like Florida, like 1 in 3 people want to sell their house and move in Florida. They can't because they have like a 3 or a 2.9. And so they just sit on their home because they don't want to give up their interest rate.
Yep. I'm telling you, dude, that's where we're at.
Ooh.
I mean, we investigated it, but, then like I said, they wanted $50,000 for what I've already got. And
Yeah, well, and, you sell, and unless you're going to downgrade to a point where you're like, we're going to pay cash.
Yes.
And it's going to be great. But one of the other things they talked about in this is if you want to grow in your income, you have to move. And unfortunately, people who own houses now are afraid to move to other cities or other states because of even if they make a decent amount of money on their home, because of the fact that the interest rate is so low. So they're going to go somewhere, put all that money down on a house, and have something that's going to cost more that may be equal or lesser value in size. So they can't then move forward when it comes to their income. And this guy just texted in and says, I make 6 figures a year and it's tough to find find something decent. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we had the listener who messaged me a couple of weeks ago. He moved his family out to McMinnville and drives an hour and a half both ways to Smyrna to work. But, his family can't afford a home out in McMinnville.
And that's what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you've seen in big cities. Like, New York built up, right? So, London built up. But where California, like San Francisco built up. Seattle's kind of built up. But a lot of other places, they built out. And so that's what we've talked about on numerous occasions is what is your threshold for your drive in? What can you say? I can do 45 minutes each way every day. I can do that. But as that starts to become more and more, that 45 turns into an hour and 15. That hour and 15 turns into people moving further past you.
Yes.
And all of it, that's a problem.
And then those prices start to go up as more people move out. I saw something in what I consider my hometown, Little Pauls Valley, Oklahoma. I saw where the median price of a home in Pauls Valley, which has like 6,000 people, is $88,000.
Wow.
I mean, I could sell my townhome and probably have enough to buy outright where part of my childhood was, but I don't want to live there because what am I going to do for a living?
That's exactly it. So to go somewhere, unless you can do everything mobile,
right?
It's not worth it. And you can't own and you can't grow and you can't build that kind of wealth. Crazy. Coming up, a lot of stuff to get to today. Supreme Court hearing birthright citizenship, kind of, sort of. We're going to talk about that. Bunch of other things. Reach out to us across all the social media. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, Omega 369. You guys hear me talk about this all the time. Let me tell you about what it did for my dog, Doodles. So Doodle was a crotchety old man that we adopted. We didn't know he was as old as he was. They lied to us. But we got him home, and after about a year, his hitch and his giddy-up was really bad. You couldn't even touch him. Started giving him Rough Greens because we were going to put him down because he was just too cantankerous. You couldn't get near him. Next thing you know, he started feeling better. Within a month, he was moving, doing things he hadn't done. His energy levels through the roof. After about 60, 90 days, it was like a whole new dog. He lived another 6+ years, well past his sell-by date. And it's incredible. Try Rough Greens. If you have dogs, and if you have cats, they have meow greens, watch what happens. It's incredible. Your dogs are going to feel 1,000 times better. Put them to the test. They're going to send you a Jumpstart trial bag for free. It's a $20 value. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. ruffgreens.com/Chad. That's ruffgreens.com/Chad for your free Jumpstart trial of Rough Greens. ruffgreens.com/Chad.
All right, drivers, we've still got that issue east of Nashville. If you are heading east on 40, you've got the left lane blocked by a crash between Lebanon and Carthage, and that is a 104-minute delay. Then you got that crash west of downtown, 40 westbound before McCrory Lane. It's stop-and-go traffic starting at Bellevue Highway, or Bellevue, that is, Highway 70 South. Another gun at a Nashville school and new income and housing data showing the middle class fighting an uphill battle. That's all coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
On its Thursday earnings call, Walmart officials said prices could go up on imported things like bananas, avocados, coffee, and roses because of the tariffs. However, they also said they'll try to adjust pricing on other things so that food and grocery items will be the least affected. That, however, could mean costs for things like back-to-school clothes, backpacks, and supplies, which are usually sold in the summer, could be higher this year.
That's it, kids. You're going to have to go to school in the same clothes you wore last year. I know you've grown 4 inches.
I'm going to have to tell my son, I'm going to get you some Tough Skins. Some Tough Skins jeans.
Oh, you know what? This takes off this time of year, like something like this now with stuff potentially going up because you never really know. But I think there was a lagging kind of thing with the whole when you go and look at what was being brought here from China and stuff. We're going to start to feel a little bit of this, but the secondhand stores are going to start booming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Secondhand stores are going to start definitely taking off.
I love me some secondhand shopping.
Oh, it's all my son and my stepdaughter want to do. They want to go to all of the thrift stores they can find.
You can get some cool stuff.
Yeah,
man.
well, and that's it. Remember the TV show Kung Fu?
Yes.
I gotta find it. I have a master. I have what's his name, Master Po or whatever the guy, the blind guy. I got a T-shirt, and I thought that was the greatest thing ever.
All right.
I was like, this is awesome. And the beauty of going to there is you look like you're either A, poor and homeless, or B, a professional skateboarder and musician. That's what you look like when you leave.
That's right.
Oh, cool. Here's a great jersey, right? Like my daughter has this Mexican soccer jersey. She has no idea what it is.
Yeah.
I just wanted an old jersey. I'm like, okay. But those things, that's what's going to happen. You're going to see the explosion, I think, over the next few months. And Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace, meeting people in parking lots.
I was watching a Family Guy the other night. They sold their house. She goes, how did you sell the house? She goes, I sold it on Craigslist. Not only did I sell it on Craigslist, I also made a dangerous friend. Yeah, meeting people in parking lots. That's what it's all about. I'd have you come to my house, but I don't want you to rob me that easy.
Right. How about if we meet in front of precinct number 9?
Oh, bargain hunting, kids. That's what it's all about. Tough Skins. If you wore out the knees in Tough Skins, they'd give you a free pair.
Dude, in all of my elementary school class pictures, of course, I'm the shortest kid in the class, so I'm down front. And I mean, I've got knee patches every year. Because I played football in them and whatever, and I constantly wore holes in my jeans.
Remember when you used to play football on asphalt? Yes. And it was never two-hand touch. It was like, we got to tackle. Duh. We're not wimps.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy. Crazy, baby. Crazy. So stuff's going to be getting a little bit more expensive, which again, like my son ordered something for his electronic bike because I'm super excited that he's got one of those because those aren't expensive. Jeez. But he got a new throttle or something, and because of the tariffs, it's been 16 days. It was, the last one was like a day. And he's like, I don't know when I'm going to get it. I'm like, well, I said, it's probably on a ship just floating around out there.
Well, it may be in port. They just don't have enough truck drivers right now to maybe load them up because I saw a report where that had slowed down. But now, since China and the United States have put that 90-day pause on the real stiff tariffs, that some of that's coming back, but it's going to take a little while.
Yeah, because it's like anything. It's like putting on weight, right? It's easy to put on weight. It's hard to take it off. It's easy to stop the stuff coming here, but to ramp it back up again isn't just about loading stuff on the ship because the factories stop making these things.
Yeah.
So it's a whole process. And we'll see. Again, I don't know. What were you saying about an accident? 100, how many minutes?
Yeah, it's a 104-minute delay, which is, almost, that's about an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half. It just east of Lebanon. It's It's in between Carthage and Lebanon, going eastbound on 40. You've only got one lane to drive out there.
That's a long drive.
Yeah, it's a big backup, dude. And there's not, there's not a lot of like quick detours.
Is it how bad was the accident?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen.
I mean, that's usually when you hear that, that's like
could be an overturned semi.
Yeah.
That they've got to that the cargo, they got to clean the cargo up before they turn it upright, or who knows?
Oh, goodness me. Maybe a bunch of clothes spilled out. You can all run out and get them. Oh, my God.
Could be a bunch of tough skin jeans.
Tough skins were so awesome. And the patches. Everybody got, those patches your mom would put it, and they just iron it straight on.
Yes,
that was it. There was nothing big. No sewing, baby.
That's right.
No sewing.
Let me tell you something. I was styling and profiling, especially after the days my mom would give me the haircut.
Oh, best thing ever when your mom gives you a haircut.
Haircuts.
Weren't they great? I'm like, Mom, are you standing with one shoe on?
My mom, she gave me a haircut one time, man. I'm not lying. It went from this, my bangs.
She created a widow's peak
here down to like that.
Oh, my God. My mom cut my hair a couple times, but then she realized, she goes, and then after that, I was punk rock as a kid. So I eventually had dreadlocks and I had mohawks and stuff. But it was, she cut my hair one time and she goes, how does it look? I said, I look like I get hit by lightning. And then the sad thing is you go to school and your friend's like, you're poor. I'm like, yes, I know, okay? It's a reminder every day. It's bad enough I'm wearing the husky, tough skin jeans that don't fit.
Fortunately for me, apparently a lot of my friends' moms cut their hair too.
No, that's good. Remember the bowl cut was very popular too.
Bowl cut was huge.
Those were easy.
Well, remember, what was that little gymnast? What was her name?
Oh, Mary Lou Retton?
Yeah. No, not Mary Lou Retton. The other one. What was her name? She had the bowl cut.
I'm trying to think.
Good grief, man. Where's my memory going?
I don't know. This is how it starts. This is it. Are you at that age now when you're like, is this serious or I'm just tired and I'm just forgot something? Like, that's how I start. Husky jeans. Yeah, tough skin competitor. They were definitely. They fought it out.
All right, here we go. Ice skaters' hairstyles.
Oh, that would have been Hamilton, right? Or
yes,
Hamill. Dorothy Hamill.
Dorothy Hamill. Yes. Not really a bowl cut, but that was a popular cut back
Something
then.
like that. That's for darn sure. Coming up, let's talk about SCOTUS. I listened to some of the hearing today.
Yeah.
It's interesting. If you've never, because obviously you can't see it. If you've never listened to some of it, it's not a hearing like a trial. It's just odd conversation, but a great way to see how America works with our Constitution is awesome. We'll talk a little bit about that straight ahead. Chad Benz Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, drivers east of Nashville, we've got a 111-minute delay if you're going to be 40 eastbound between Lebanon and Carthage. You've got the left lane blocked by a crash. We're also tracking the potential for severe weather, not just today, but tomorrow. And tomorrow is when it's going to be most likely. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, Evolve Technology getting the credit, leading to the arrest of another kid with a gun at school. Metro Police says the technology hit on a 16-year-old Whites Creek High School junior's backpack, which had a loaded handgun this morning. Now that kid shipped off to juvenile court facing charges. New report on Nashville's socioeconomic well-being. Tennessean says the annual community needs evaluation by Metro Social Services claims a single person without kids needs to make at least $52,858 a year for a living wage in Nashville. But the report claims that about 326,000 workers in the area's top 20 occupations earning a wage well under a living wage, but still making too much to qualify for any benefits. And CBS News publishing new analysis from the National Association of Realtors today, claiming only 1 in 5 listed homes in March were affordable for households with $75,000 in annual income. Then there is this from the nation's largest retailer.
Walmart says it has no choice but to raise prices due to higher costs from the tariffs implemented by President Trump. The company posting strong sales in the first quarter and saying it expects growth in the second quarter as well. However, like other companies, Walmart is not issuing a profit outlook, saying the chaotic on-again, off-again tariffs are making it too difficult to make a fiscal prediction.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Byrna Technologies was out there today. If you know what that is, this is incredible. So they're launchers, right? They fire and shoot like a real gun. But they're launchers. They're less lethal, but the damage they can do is incredible when it comes to stopping power. And that's what it's all about. The beauty of this is you can train with these things at home. It is similar to having a gun. It looks, feel, the whole 9 yards is almost similar. But the fact that it's less lethal, you can carry it anywhere with you. And the new Byrna CL launcher is incredible. It looks, it's so compact, so easy to use. And yes, at 400 feet a second, the stopping power is real. Go check them out. You can go shoot there and check out all the stuff they have. The stuff is incredible. And for a lot of people out there, the expense of being able to go somewhere and shoot, it can be costly, $100 a time plus. Here, you can go and for a few bucks, get a feel just like that and have something you can take anywhere with no background check, legal in all the states, and you can train at home, which is incredible. Check them out. They're in Franklin. Call them open 7 days a week, 615-558-0534. Beacon Capital Management, ready to help you right now with what? Your Retirement Ready Toolkit. So no matter what it is that you're doing when it comes to your retirement, they got you handled, and that's exactly what you're looking for. And that includes the stuff that isn't just the money side of things, which of course matters. You don't want to outlive your retirement. Call Beacon today at 615-488-9303. Go over there and see them. They're local. And they'll give you a once-over on what's going on in your retirement. But on top of that, show you that they want to be the all-in-one full-service investment advisor. That includes things like healthcare, estate planning, tax planning, and more. And you're going to get a free Retirement Ready Toolkit. In it, you're going to get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper at no cost to you. Call Beacon today, 615-488-9303, or online at AskBeaconNow.com. Supreme Court.
Supreme Court music.
Yeah, that's very much so. Supreme Court music. Here we are. Taking up birthright citizenship. And the interesting thing is, it's two things at one. The first one is they're addressing more does a single judge, have a right to stop an executive order kind of as sweeping across the nation. And the conservatives they were sympathetic towards that, because the administration is saying, why should one judge be able to stop something? And it's not just about birthright; it's about a lot of stuff. But the plaintiffs brought some really, good legal stuff, if you will. Because if you've never listened to the Supreme Court, it's not a case where they're all sitting there and they're cross-examining. No, they're asking questions. And that's what they do. And they'll go over, and then every once in a while, Thomas, who rarely says anything, may say something. I mean, he went a long time without saying a damn thing for years. But they ask questions. Well, what about this? What about that? And, it's very interesting. But this is interesting because while the conservatives seem to be somewhat sympathetic, the fear is, okay, if we say that no, as a judge, you can't shut it down. So this district over here will have one law that could be completely different for the rest of the nation. And so what they're going to do is now all of a sudden you're going to have what, potentially? Class action lawsuits, which is something they don't want to bog the court down with. So I have a feeling when it comes to can a judge, singular judge, stop the president, in particular of an executive order, yes. But also, remember, those are cases that, for the most part, are going to get to the Supreme Court anyways. And that's a big deal. Because, like we said, Trump threw a lot of things against the wall to see what would stick. And I think he knew some of these weren't going to stick. The other side of it is what happens to kids? What is going to happen? Is birthright citizenship? And just because it's on the docket didn't mean that they were going to address it today. They kind of did, then they kind of didn't. You haven't got a sense like you normally do with some of these things.
On the day after it goes into effect, this is just a very practical question how this is going to work. What do hospitals do with a newborn? What do states do with a newborn?
I don't think they do anything different. What the executive order says in Section 2 is that federal officials do not accept documents that have the wrong designation of citizenship from people who are subject to the executive order.
How are they going to know that?
I don't know. And that was also the other thing is if you allow one court to shut down instead of the nation, a district, if you will, or a certain area, if something happens somewhere else and that group moves to your area, you're now putting undue burden on them to cover the cost and do certain things. And that's what they call like a third party was being hurt in this. This is something that the battle is going to be very real. And as the questions were asked, you can get a sense by, which way some things are going. But it wasn't as cut and dry as normal. Because usually a lot of these things are very cut and dry. You're listening going, okay, yeah, we know where they're going with this.
Why don't we grant cert before judgment so that all of these parents would have a firm Supreme Court decision that they can take where? Because you're saying nobody can grant a universal injunction.
No party has asked for that in this case, and I think one reason is that would deny the court of the benefit of percolation in multiple lower courts of a novel and sensitive and important constitutional question.
We have novel courts who've percolated this issue and said you're violating precedent. Not only precedent, but the plain meaning of the 14th of the Constitution.
I don't know. They're not going to have, they'll have, and this is the first cases, by the way, that are Trump cases that's being argued. So the other stuff that's gone before the Supreme Court for Trump was not argued. They were administrative. So it was just a ruling, and they just gave you a ruling, and that's it. And these are the first ones that are being argued. So we won't find about this stuff until May of this year. Oh man, this is I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of these. And by the way, a lot of these, obviously Trump leads the way when it comes to the lawsuits, but it happened a ton under Obama, picked up under Trump, went on the same way with Biden, and is ramped up again with Trump again. Pre-Obama, you didn't get a ton of lawsuits like these. You didn't get a ton of stuff that was always being challenged day in and day out by, states. And it's a frustrating thing. And I'm glad that we have the laws that we have, and I'm glad we have the Constitution. But I also get frustrated too because, and it's not just this. I mean, it's laws, the insanity of the way that we sue and go after everything on a daily basis, but it's there to protect us. They are. And the stuff that matters, I'm glad it gets up there. But man, anything you do today, somebody can figure out a way to take you to court for it. Several of you have chimed in, by the way. Yeah, it's going to be this May is when they're going to come out with it. So that's not this May. I mean this summer. We may get the other whether or not a single judge can block nationwide. That may come sooner, but the birthright will come out probably maybe July, August, which will be, And now, I also, too, did they ever find the leaker, Ken? Remember the guy or the gal who leaked the row?
That's right.
They never found that person, did they?
That's just kind of disappeared.
So that was so weird because I remember when that came out, and they're like, we got to find that person. And they never found that person. Ever. Good God.
Forgot all about that.
Yeah, well, somebody said if Congress would actually do something. Congress is to blame in a lot of stuff. I saw yesterday because what's going on in Newark at the airport and everything is a joke. And, Duffy kind of blamed Biden. Blame everybody this administration, including this administration the first time.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's talking about how this is a 50-year-old antiquated system. I mean, we can go back to Clinton.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And by the way, Clinton, that stuff was kind of new in some way.
Kind of, yes.
But they've not fixed it at all. Not like now, where it's like we said the other day, it was eBay. eBay is where they're buying some of the parts for some of these things. That is a scary thing to think, oh, yeah, eBay's got us covered. Hey, I watched the new show If You Want to Get Creeped Out last night.
All right.
And so I partially lived through this when I was in England. But the debut last night on Netflix, the Fred and Rose West story. So this is a couple in Gloucester.
Okay.
Who they killed 12 people, kids.
Goodness.
And buried them underneath their house. And they had other kids. It was my wife and I watched it yesterday while I was working and doing some stuff. And afterwards, I'm like, okay, before I go to bed, I'm going to watch a Family Guy or something that has nothing to do with this.
Something that.
But I remember, so it happened in the early 90s. It was like 94. And I remember when I was working at Talk Radio UK, they sent us to Gloucester to go cover the crowd and see stuff like that. Oh, good God. It was so creepy.
That is very macabre, man.
It was very macabre. And the way they found out, it's always something little. They had other kids, and the kids would go to school, and teachers started noticing some stuff.
Yeah.
That they keep saying, if we're bad, Mom and Dad are going to bury us under the patio like our sister. And they thought, and there were several kids, and they thought that was a joke, and they realized maybe this isn't a joke.
So they checked on it.
So they brought him in, and they checked on it, and it was so macabre because it's just this little tiny street in Gloucester. Oh,
man! I mean, it's like earlier this week. Well, yesterday a story came out. Apparently, a teenager, they had found the parents had put her in a dog kennel. She's been in a dog kennel for a long time.
Oh, God.
Here's the thing. Every time one of these stories comes out, you know there may be hundreds or even more than hundreds more that are still ongoing that we don't know about.
Yeah, that's just it.
People being held captive like this, kids being held captive like this.
And you think, like, you'll watch a horror movie or something like that, and it's like, oh, they've been here for 8 years. No way. And then that guy in Cleveland, remember that?
Yes.
That person was there forever.
Yeah, the girl was able to escape.
Yes.
And she's running down the street.
And she went to the next door neighbor or whatever. And
Yeah, I'm Amanda Berry.
oh, God. Like you said, how many of those are going on?
Right.
And they find somebody, and how old are you? Are you 8? They're like, I'm 20. And you're like, you weigh 8 pounds. It's just, it's vile. What the hell's wrong with people? How sick and twisted are people?
They are, man.
They're super sick and twisted. Speaking of sick and twisted, we're not. That I do know. A lot of you texting in. We've got a lot of stuff still to talk about today. Talk a little bit about, Sally just said, wrong. They found the leaker. They just don't want to say who it is out loud.
Oh.
I don't think that's true. I don't know if that's true. Somebody said no fat jokes today.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. See, Belle? Not just us. Belle and I. They're like, you made a lot of fat jokes yesterday. Some people want to let you know that. I'm like, we won't make fat jokes today. Or maybe. I don't know. Can't believe you guys would say that about me.
I only have one. Okay, I'll refrain.
You guys with your excuse me, nutritional overachievers. But it's a real story. Just want to let you guys know that. The big people, right? I don't know what to say anymore. I heard somebody's nutritional overachievers. The opposite of thin. Good name for a band. Coming up.
Hey, none of us are skinny, but we can get off the couch.
Yes, we can. Oh, God. That story about you saying that lady fused herself to the couch by being there so long?
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
That is super gross. That was. Somebody said I was Van Gogh listening. What was the name of the show you watched? It was the Fred and Rose West story. It was debuted yesterday. It is he's a creeper. And the whole thing about, like, he would pimp her out. It was, they're all twisted. Like, so, the whole thing is so twisted. And they're hoarders, which makes it even worse.
They look twisted, dude.
Oh, dude. Her dad used to pay him to have sex with his daughter.
Goodness.
How do you expect somebody to grow up normal at all?
Yeah, man,
Like,
that's bad.
Some people you put and you say to yourself, my God, you had no chance.
No chance.
No chance whatsoever. Happy Thursday. What does Matt call it? Little Friday?
Oh. No, Friday Eve.
Friday
No,
Eve.
Matt doesn't call it that. I call it that to irritate Matt because he hates it.
I kind of like Little Friday.
Little Friday's
It's
better.
Little Friday.
It's a Little Friday right here on the Chad Benson Show. So we talk 9 and 7. Prize pick, incredible. So, would you like to win 2,000 times your money? Of course you would. Prize picks, it's easy to do. So, what do? You play a lineup. What's a lineup? It's $5 lineup. You play as little as that. And here's the thing: you already won when you use my code Chad, because the minute you do that, you get a $50 bonus when you play that first $5, win or lose. But it's over, it's under, it's more, it's less. Do you think that, not teams, but players, so let's just say so-and-so, whatever basketball, I don't even know who's playing at this moment in time, is going to score more than 25 points? You know, Steph Curry was eliminated last night. If you think that, then it's more. On the other side, do you think that maybe baseball you choose, Shohei Ohtani is going to get more than 1.5 hits in this game, more or less, and you decide from there, that's your first lineup, and you went up to 2,000 times your money. It is so simple and easy to do. All you have to do, use my code Chad, get a $50 bonus. Takes about 60 seconds. Download the app when you play your first $5 lineup. Get that $50 bonus by using my code Chad. Simple, easy. Go do it now. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be 21, present, Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-426-2537. The Wellness Institute in Nashville. Check them out online at painisbad.com. Honor 47% off. Non-surgical spinal decompression. You want a life free of pain? Of course you do. You want to enjoy the things you want to do. I mean, it's getting really nice outside. You want to be outside doing stuff, but your back is holding you back. Don't let that happen anymore. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, absolutely incredible. Years and years of studying, doing, learning, growing. They know exactly what they're doing. They're the best around. So to call them today and go see them if you have issues with your back, right? There's no voodoo or magic cream or any of that stuff. This is about the technology and their brilliance that gets you back doing the things you want to do. Call them today, the Wellness Institute in Nashville, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or online at painisbad.com.
Good news, drivers look like they got that crash out of the way. 40 eastbound between Lebanon and Carthage. It's still slow through there, but it'll be picking up speed a lot more faster now that they've got that crash out of the way. We do have some construction work slowing you down in Jolton right now, going westbound on 24 at the Harper Road overpass. Another gun detected in a Nashville school. This story and more at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Another gun.
Hey, this new Evolve technology's working.
Yeah.
I mean, they're finding guns.
You know, what was that one in Texas, right? Where like mom's like, oh, yeah, you want to go shoot up the school? Let me buy you some ammo. What the hell is that about?
Here's some tactical gear, and here, honey, here's your lunch and more bullets.
Wait a minute. Did the kid said he was going to shoot up the school?
Yeah, she knew that he was dangerous.
She knew it.
Yeah, and so she was like providing him with stuff.
Wow. She needs to be in prison.
She's going to be. Right? Like, I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, I can't even. What the hell's wrong with people?
Yeah,
that's just a complete abdication of your responsibility as a parent.
Yeah, apparently police had been called multiple times about her son's behavior at school, and for
the
whatever
other parents
reason,
are pissed.
Yeah, they're angry, and for whatever
Justifiably
reason,
so.
the school decided. I guess I don't know what the protocol is at this school. I don't know why he wasn't taken out of school, but.
Well, isn't that, you know, so many of these places have this restorative justice where they are no longer punishing, you know, as much as teachers struggle with the pay, and let's be real, it sucks in a lot of places. One of the other things that is angering, you know, teachers and getting them to leave, and we've got a great piece from a lady who went off on TikTok. She quit. We're going to talk about next hour. One of the things is kids, especially after COVID. It's like, not only did adults just change, kids changed. And teachers are like over it. There's like no discipline at all. And you can't do anything. And the teachers are helpless in a lot of places. Kids can do what they want, and they're just like, can't do anything.
Well, and, you know, these kids, I'm not saying it's right to take a gun to school, but maybe some of these kids are bullied relentlessly. And they're scared.
Yeah, and there's areas.
Because if you fight back nowadays,
you're in trouble.
You're the one suspended.
And then you also got places where, you know, like a lot of young men nowadays, they no longer, you and I talked about it. Man, they don't throw hands anymore, Ken.
No.
Everybody they bump shoulders. Next thing you know, everybody takes out pistols and starts shooting at each other.
Or if you do throw hands and one of you starts to lose, then the pistol's pulled.
Yeah, that's
You can't just take an ass kicking and, you know, call it good.
Watch the movie Friday.
Yeah,
Remember
absolutely.
That?
Pops.
Son.
Pops.
That's not what we do. We throw these, and you get up and you fight again tomorrow.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, that's the way it used
Actually,
to be.
some wisdom out of one of the
John
funniest movies.
Witherspoon.
John Witherspoon.
Man, did you ever see the movie Boomerang with him in it?
No. What?
He had a suit with mushrooms, and he's showing everybody, and then he opened it up, and inside of the suit, mushrooms.
Craig, the word for the day is job. J-O-B.
I love it. It is the Chad Benson Show.
1 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, evolved technology leading to the arrest of another kid with a gun at school. Metro Police says it hit on a 16-year-old Whites Creek High School junior's backpack. Officials say it had a loaded handgun in it this morning. The pistol had an extended magazine. The serial number was scratched off. This teen is being charged at juvenile court with bringing a weapon onto school property and unlawful gun possession. Executives at Walmart warning of price increases as a result of tariffs imposed in recent months.
On its Thursday earnings call, Walmart officials said prices could go up on imported things like bananas, avocados, coffee, and roses because of the tariffs. However, they also said they'll try to adjust pricing on other things so that food and grocery items will be the least affected. That, however, could mean costs for things like back-to-school clothes, backpacks, and supplies, which are usually sold in the summer, could be higher this year.
That's Sherry Preston reporting. A new report on Nashville's socioeconomic well-being. The Tennessean saying the annual community needs evaluation by Metro Social Services, claiming a single person without kids needs to make at least $52,858 a year for what would be considered a living wage in Nashville. Meanwhile, the report claims that 326,000 workers in the area's top 20 occupations are earning a wage well under a living wage, but still too much to qualify for any benefits. And plans for a new hospital in Middle Tennessee. The Tennessean says Ascension St. Thomas plans to build a $148 million hospital and outpatient facility in Clarksville on land at the intersection of Highway 76 and 24. It will offer 44 beds in emergency care, inpatient surgery, cardiology, and oncology. The hospital's pending state approval. A construction timeline has not yet been released. And the U.S. Supreme Court appears skeptical of allowing the Trump administration to implement a birthright citizenship plan to go into effect, at least in some parts of the country, while litigation continues in lower courts.
The argument was less focused on the citizenship order as on the power of federal judges to block it. Administration lawyer John Sauer said courts have too often overstepped.
This is a bipartisan problem.
But liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor questioned his premise.
If that's true, that means even the Supreme Court doesn't have that power.
The court's most conservative members appeared sympathetic to the notion that nationwide injunctions should be reined in, but they also aired concerns that could lead to more class action lawsuits filed in more places. Justice Samuel Alito.
The practical problem would not be solved.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Cassie Ventura, the ex-girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs, back on the stand today in his sex trafficking and racketeering trial, and Ventura being cross-examined today after telling jurors earlier this week about the abuse she says she endured by Combs for years. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
on Friday. By the way, that big, beautiful bill, that thing is falling apart.
Yeah, it's got the House Freedom Caucus, man. Those hardline Republicans, they do not like it.
No. And this is before it ever even gets close to going to the Senate. So the Freedom Caucus wants no part of it because it doesn't cut enough. And so there's not a lot there.
Well, and they want that work for benefit to be triggered sooner than it is right now in the bill.
Yeah, because it gives it to what? Is it 2009?
Yeah.
29, I think?
Yeah, which means it could be completely scrapped under a new administration.
And they're like, they're not touching Medicaid. And then did you see Josh Hawley? He's like, they're touching Medicaid, and I'm not going to vote for that. And it's not just work, making it more expensive. Touch it. Go ahead. See what happens. Steve Bannon has said it for years. The minute you touch Medicaid and you don't fix it, but you start taking it away, there are a lot of, as he said, a lot of MAGA relies on Medicaid, and you're going to pay the price.
It's a really great way for them to guarantee that they will lose the midterms.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't envy Mike Johnson because you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
You are, man, with this thin of a majority.
Yeah. People used to get stuff done back in the day because you could be part of a caucus where you could lose 8 people and you're like, we got a 15 seat majority. It doesn't care.
Yeah, big deal.
Now it's like you lose 1, you're like, we're done.
Yeah,
it's all over. And this is before it ever gets into the Senate, and the Senate is going to be a whole nother beast altogether. And Josh Hawley's already said no. I won't touch it. Because he recognizes what the potential is in this. And there's still July is when they're hoping to get to vote on this. July. They can't do anything. You want to know why? Look, for all the stuff that Trump has done, we had John Spicer on yesterday. After a while, man, all you're doing is he's writing all of these executive orders that can all be undone at the swipe of a pen.
Just like that.
Just like he did with a lot of Biden's executive orders.
And just like Biden did with him.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, This is it. You've decided to give away your power and to not be on record for anything. But it's a big, beautiful bill. They can't even, the House is a mess. Senate's going to be worse.
And those changes will result, according to the Congressional Budget Office, in about 8 million people losing their Medicaid health insurance. But the work requirements, at least, don't kick in until 2029. And so that late delay on the work requirements and a number of other things was enough to anger some Republican hardliners who now say that they don't like this bill that their own party is writing and hoping to pass.
And that's before the next committee gets it and takes stuff out and adds stuff to it. And it just doesn't cut.
This is where, so we've had this flurry of executive orders. Now it's getting down to where Congress needs to start doing something, and this is where everything's going to get mired down.
This is where it is, I mean, if you can't pass, because usually you get one, right? Like you get one big bill that you pass, and then maybe a couple other little ones. But then eventually people get angry. You got too much power. And what ends up happening, we as a nation are very fickle. We give the other side some power, and away they go. They're not even going to be able to do this. They're not. And Trump wants these tax cuts so bad. Oh, this is huge. This is massive. But to do what he wants to do, he's already said, well, you can't touch Medicaid. You can't do it. But I think there's plenty of people in there that want to touch it, but they're terrified. Like they want to, like they can taste it. Like, ooh, we could do this. Ooh, we could be out of a job. That's the kind of area they're at. But yeah, Congress, this is all you. I mean, all these executive orders. Like the other day, I love the fact that you wrote an executive order the other day for the prescription drugs. By the way, it has no teeth to it. And it'll get blown out in 2 seconds by Big Pharma if they take it to court. But you know who could do something? Congress. You know who won't do something? Congress.
What a coincidence.
Man, see the way that goes?
Or as Carly would say, a coinkadink.
A coinkadink. Or that guy that's on the dating show. I think you're really cute. I like you too. Wow, wow, wow. It's a big, beautiful bill. And this is all before we know what's in it. Yes, sir.
Just that, what you just said gave me, shivers of Nancy Pelosi.
Pass it to find out what's in it?
Yeah, we got to pass this bill to find out what's in it.
Yeah.
Maybe read it.
400 pages. You're not reading 400 pages.
If you can't read it, then don't write it.
By the way, it's 400 pages of tiny writing. And it's changing. Every second it's changing. Because, so let's say we were all in there negotiating right now, and it was the three of us. Well, you know what? I want to bring something back to my place, right? I don't want you to cut from my area. Oh, you did? Well, I'm going to cut from your area and place it with mine. And then it goes there, and then it goes over, and then Matt and Chris and them would have their run at it. And that was before it gets to management, who's going to have their run at it.
And then you would just say, everybody think of the greater good.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore, man. There's no such thing as greater good.
The greater good would involve massive cuts, and they're not going to do that.
No. Well, nobody's going to touch the entitlement programs that need to be touched.
Nobody's going to do anything that causes too much pain and them to lose.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Because it is going to take incredible pain to cut $2 trillion from the deficit.
You can't.
Incredible pain.
And nobody's willing to do that. Nobody's willing to go back to their district and said, hey, we've lost, $50 billion and 2,000 jobs.
Yeah, they prefer to be able to show up and show all the pork they got stuffed into something.
Yeah. I always go back to that the guy in Alaska, right? Try to get the bridge to nowhere for $400 million.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. It's the giant grift is both sides. And what did Robert Kennedy Jr. say the other day? Every single one of these people that work here have their own lobbyist from Big Pharma, right? Like, that's the kind of power. The power doesn't come from the votes. The power comes from who's got the most money to lobby. I've always said weed will be legal when their lobby gets big enough to have one person lobbying one person in Congress. So 1-to-1. I'm surprised it's not there yet. But Big Pharma has the most. They're the most powerful lobbying group. That is
money.
What did they say? So there essentially is 535 lobbyists in D.C. that strictly work for Big Pharma.
Wow.
So one for each person. And here's the other thing, and this is what everybody needs to realize. These guys and gals talk a great game in front of the camera. Behind the camera, they're out to dinner every night with some of these people going, you can't do that. We can't let you do that. But how about this? Act like you're going to do it. And then what happens? Well, we're going to throw you $1,000 a plate dinner. We're going to help you get reelected. Because that's what it's all about. It's not
Can
about
we get some more ranch sauce over here, please?
Oh, so frustrating. And Trump also understands if I don't get this through, right? Because on top of all of that, like you said, the broken promise is already coming. I saw today the seniors. What about no tax on Social Security? No tax on tips. What about this? Oh, no tax on overtime. All of these are lies. You guys are putting taxes out there. And then SALT. For those of you guys don't know what SALT is, because we don't have it here, but that's state and local tax. And usually those are the big blue states where you're able to, when Trump got into office last time, he capped it at $10,000. So if you, let's just say you made $500,000 and your state tax was 10%, you could have taken that $50,000 and put it towards your federal and as a write-off. Now it's only $10,000. And now they're battling it. They want to move it to $30,000, and they're already saying, nope, that's dead. That's never going to happen. And Trump understands if he doesn't get this stuff through and he doesn't keep some of those promises, this is going to cost him. Made a lot of promises, and here's the thing. You made promises, and people believed you. And it sounds like some people are going to hold their feet to the fire.
There's got to be some accountability somewhere.
That's a tough thing. We normally don't like holding people accountable. Not like we used to. But I just don't think I think this thing's going to fall apart before it gets there, and they're going to have to slim it down and see what happens. And this is all before, once they get this through, here comes another budget that has to be done.
Well, and then remember President Trump's interesting post to Truth Social last week, where he said, he indicated he would be okay with taxing the quote-unquote wealthy, but Republicans probably shouldn't do it, but I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. And the Republicans many of them are a hard no, which is weird. There's taxing somebody who makes $2.5 million a year. Oh my God. The rich don't care. They don't.
Well, and that's what Trump said.
Yeah.
He said he would be happy to give some of what he has to people that it would help. But, the pushback would be something he says Republicans probably shouldn't do it, but I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, it's that kind of weird, I wouldn't say no, but I wouldn't say yes. If you did it, I'm not going to complain, but if you didn't do it,
The problem, though, is that no matter what you give government, it just decides to waste it and then take even more.
You know what I would love to see just once? Where 1 year somebody goes, all right, here's the deal. We're going to let everybody choose where you want your tax money to go.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
Just for 1 year.
I would send it right back into my own pocket.
I'd say me.
Yeah. Okay. Me too. No,
that would be the problem.
So, but no, if you had to choose okay, I want my money to go only to defense, or I want my money to go to education, or to healthcare, or to whatever. I would like to see because the talk is always about this, that, and the other, where it would actually go.
Yeah.
Because
right now, I would say Social Security.
Yeah, Social Security.
Because I'm getting close.
But here's a perfect example of Social Security. Take the cap off. How hard is that?
Yeah.
Take the cap off. And nobody wants to be. You know who's going to be a great president? When they really have to, is the person that is going to end up probably having to be that person that comes to the place where the can can't be kicked. And has to look at everybody and go, did you think we weren't going to get here? That everybody was lying? Yeah, we have no money for stuff. So there's going to be higher taxes and there's going to be less payout to get ourselves back.
I mean, it's going to take some massive pain to get to where they want to get to. It just is.
Yeah, it's either we do it voluntarily or we do it like Greece did it.
Yeah.
And Greece went through a lot of pain.
And remember a few years ago, Macron's like, all right, we're going to have to raise the retirement age from 8 or whatever it was to 60. They took to the streets.
Oh, they freaked.
And what happened? He reversed course. Well, guess what? Didn't change anything.
Yeah. You're still running out of money.
Yeah, you got no money. You haven't changed anything. It's the same thing. And you know what's going to happen when we get to that point? Everybody's going to look at the leaders then and go, hey, what happened? Well, we told you this was going to happen. Oh, we didn't think you were serious. Well, no, but this is it. This is going to last until it can't.
Yep.
And then everybody's going to cry about it because we're going to have to then take drastic measures, which is, if you think it's uncomfortable now, whoo-wee. You don't want that part. Coming up. Got some good stuff. Talk a little bit about schools. His teacher went on a rant on the tick and the talk that I thought was very interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some more on SCOTUS, hearing birthright citizenship, kind of, sort of, but not really. Like a lot of people thought there was going to be that today. A bunch of other things on the way, too. It's Chad Bench Show, Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital. I want you to talk to my buddies over at Bulwark. So a week from today, they are doing something amazing. It is a tariff webinar. So my buddy, Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer at Bulwark, does this amazing webinar once a month, and he's going to go over tariffs, what it means for you, but also about what's going on in the market itself, not just here, but globally, where your money may be best served and what they're all about, and how tariffs are going to have an effect. And not just, if it's only 10% here, 10% there, think about the world globally where you can trade, not just here. And that's why they want to show you why they're the best around when it comes to your investments and your retirement. So sign up for this. It is 5:30 next Thursday. That is the 22nd. Go to knowyourriskradio.com, KNOW, yourriskradio.com. And you can also get a second opinion on your retirement. They'll walk you through all the things that they do, show you what they're about, and give you a full rundown of what's going on in your account as well. Sign up today for the free webinar, the Tariff Edition with Bulwark, next Thursday, May 22nd, 5:30. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk, not a guarantee. Past performance, not guarantee future results. Trek 25206.
All right, Jolton, still got that construction work slowing things down 24 westbound at the Harper Road overpass. And now just north of downtown, we've got police activity blocking the left shoulder. It's going to be 65 southbound before Trinity Lane. Another gun at school in Nashville. Major retailer warning of price hikes and Supreme Court skepticism of Trump administration birthright citizenship proposal coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
One of the core questions here is, can an individual district judge block the president's policy nationwide? The Trump administration is arguing that the ability of these federal judges to do that is forcing them to race from court to court, trying to win every case that challenges their policies. They argue that this is creating an unfair playing field, saying that those who challenge them can win anywhere, while the Trump administration has to, quote, win everywhere. Now, that was met from a lot of skepticism from Justice Sotomayor, who said that the argument, quote, makes no sense whatsoever.
So a lot of people thought today the SCOTUS was going to hear the birthright citizenship, which they touched on a little bit, but most of the Q&A has been about whether or not a judge can stop a president's order from happening. And the Republicans, as I said, they felt a little sympathy, but they also said, yeah, but this opens up a can of worms. So they've got to be, because what ends up happening is then you're going to have essentially federal laws that are different in different parts of the country. And so it just, they said this is going to be nothing but class action lawsuit time over and over again. And I feel that that's going to go that way, where they're going to say, yeah, a judge can, because their fear too, and you can hear it from some of the questioning on both sides, is, hey, if we say no to this, well, basically you can say no to us, and therefore we're not co-equal branches. Oh, yeah. And we want to be co-equal branches, I'll tell you that right now, because we're not. Right now we have two branches of government and then the third wheel, which is Congress. Just such a joke. So bad. It is just hearing from you guys, but even yesterday, Sean Spicer talking about the fact that he's like, look, these guys don't do anything. These guys and gals, they don't. They don't do a thing because they don't want to. And over the last, I would say, 15 years, they have slowly but surely given more and more of their power away freely to the executive branch and the judicial branch. And in many cases, as well as to all of this bureaucracy, where you find some of these agencies will just go make laws, and Congress is like, meh. It's sad. Because if you want, like, immigration, Trump fixed the border. Okay. That hasn't fixed anything inside. That battle's still going to go on, as we already know. But even if he won the executive order thing, Congress has to do what? They've got to codify some of these things. And they won't. Because you don't want your name on something. If these people were leading us back in the Revolutionary War, nobody would have put their John Hancock on anything. No, I don't want to do it. No. Somebody could get mad at me. I don't want that to happen. Please don't. It's frustrating. And Congress, for the record, was supposed to be the one that had a little bit more power because they were representing us. And they were making laws. And they want none of that. The equal branches are not equal. They're not even kind of equal at this point in time. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And the other side is, who's the leader? Like, you take Trump away, who's the leader of the Republican Party? For all the talk about the Democrats that don't have a leader, who's the leader of the Republican Party? Anybody? Is it really J.D. Vance? Marco? I don't know. Because you need somebody to lead outside of the president, especially when it comes to Congress. The Senate? Really? It isn't, it's not the old guy. Hi, Mitch.
Mitch McConnell.
Is he still alive? Hi, it's me, Mitch.
You better believe I'm still alive.
Oh, yeah. I was going to run for another one, but I decided not to. Wow. Good God. How did we get here? What the hell's wrong with you people? Coming up, a teacher goes on a rant, and when you do that, you better do it on TikTok. She did. Talk a little bit about that. Got some other goodies as well. Some fun stuff, kids. Indeed. Reach out to us across social media. We are on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. And, of course, you can follow me at Chad Benson Show. This is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. I can tell you that the National Weather Service has now increased the risk for severe weather today for parts of Middle Tennessee. Basically now, everybody along and north of I-40 is under a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. Starting at 4 o'clock today, running till 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, we could see quarter-size hail. We could see winds in excess of 50 miles per hour. Low tornado threat. Again, full forecast in 5 minutes. Another gun at school in Nashville. Metro Police say the Evolve weapons detection system hit on a 16-year-old Whites Creek High School junior's backpack, which officials say was carrying a loaded semi-automatic pistol with the serial number scratched off. The teen is charged in juvenile court with bringing a weapon onto school property and unlawful gun possession. Price hikes coming, says the nation's largest retailer, Sherry Preston.
On its Thursday earnings call, Walmart officials said prices could go up on imported things like bananas, avocados, coffee, and roses because of the tariffs. However, they also said they'll try to adjust pricing on other things so that food and grocery items will be the least affected. That, however, could mean costs for things like back-to-school clothes, backpacks, and supplies, which are usually sold in the summer, could be higher this year.
Here in Nashville, an annual report on economic well-being says a living wage is someone without kids who makes $52,858 per year, a living wage. The annual community needs evaluation by Metro Social Services also claims that at least 326,000 workers in the area's top 20 occupations don't make near that amount, but still make too much to qualify for any anti-poverty benefits. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy Bee, plumbing, heating, and cooling wants you to know that TVA rebates, they've been extended. So the mini split, 17 SEER, 2 or higher, $800 rebate. Get up to 12 months, no payment, no interest, depending on credit, and lenders' offers may vary. Busy Bee has great rebates on AC tune-ups, $50 rebate for each one. So spring and fall, you do those. You just paid for your Beehive membership. It's that simple, and they take care of the rebates for you. Now check this out. Maybe you're saying, Chad, they sound amazing, because they are. Entire crew over there. Gary, Nate, and everybody, incredible. Nathan's going to be here on Monday, and they're getting ready to hire. And so what are they doing? They're having an open house. It is awesome. Go over there, check them out. If you got 3 years experience, you can make some money over there. They take care of it. They treat you so well. It's incredible. How about $30 to $39 an hour for experience? And they're looking for both plumbing and HVAC. It is happening on the 31st from 10 till 2. Bring your family. Come on down. Even if you're a recent graduate, head over there and talk to Busy Bee. You can call them every single day for all your heating, air, and plumbing needs. 775-7833, 775-7833, or online at busybehvac.com. What kind of defense do you think Diddy has?
I have no idea what it would be, man.
I'm curious about that. So, Diddy guy says you're kind of a trollop. I mean, I don't know, what are you going to say?
Yeah. And you know, I tell you, I feel for this Cassie Ventura because the cross-examination could be brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already brutal.
Well, and the only real hand they have to play is to try to make it sound like she's disgruntled because she got dumped or
she was all about it.
Yeah, it was all her idea.
This was consensual, and now she's trying to smear him.
You know, but once that video came out, though, with him beating her, that's a kind of a hard thing to say that, you know, she forced you.
Yeah. He had no other choice.
He was running. He was scared for his life.
Well, and if I remember correctly, after that came out, it also came out that he tried to pay the hotel off.
Yes.
To hide to
get rid of all the footage.
Yeah.
But you weren't paying him that much. You know who pays that much? TMZ.
Yes.
In the that movie I watched last night, that documentary, the West, Fred and his Rose, the killers, when they went to court, even though he confessed to a lot of this, they still needed to try to pin a lot of this still on him and the wife too. The problem was all of the witnesses had sold all their stories, so they couldn't be trusted.
Wow.
And you know, it's like, I just don't know what kind of defense you have because there's pictures.
Yeah,
they haven't showed the videos yet. That's the weird thing. I'm surprised they haven't showed the videos because you've got that's a stomach right there that you're going to have to take.
Yep.
In that situation. And they say that every time they show some of these pictures, the looks on their faces are just
the jurors are they're never going to be the same.
No. I mean, you know, it's great. Have you ever done jury duty?
No.
No?
And I never want to.
How about you, Bill?
I got called one time. It was when I was living in Dallas, and I was literally in the process of packing to move to Atlanta. So I just sent it back and said, I don't live here anymore.
Oh, that is, the minute one time and they said, what do you do for a living? I said, I do talk radio. They said, you got to get out of here. You can't stay here. They said, would you talk? I said, I'm going to go right to the microphone and talk about whatever case I'm on. Just to let you guys know. Because I can't keep my mouth shut. It's what I do for a living. You guys know that.
I'm a broadcaster.
And I need to broadcast live. Speaking of broadcasting, anybody can do it now. Everybody is part of the media. Case in point, a teacher who'd had enough with teaching and kids and what's going on in the classroom.
A former English teacher going viral after posting a raw and unfiltered farewell video as she leaves the classroom behind after just 3 years.
A lot of these kids don't know how to read because they have had things read to them, or they can click a button and have something read out loud to them. I just don't think these kids even care. They don't care about making a difference in the world. They don't care about how to write a resume. They don't care how to write a cover letter because ChatGPT will just do it for them. I think that we need to cut off technology from these kids, probably until they go to college.
Well, that you can't do because they'll be too far behind and nobody else is doing. What you need to do, though, is limit some of these things that is happening for sure and focus, right? Here's the problem. I understand what she's saying, and you should learn how to read. I think we should know. You should learn the basics. But do you think it's going to get more technologically advanced or less? And that's a different thing because you know what? I'll have my uncle on tomorrow. We're going to talk about this. You know what you're not going to need next year? A programmer. Those are gone. I got a great article about a guy who's making $155,000 a year. Now he works 3 ride-sharing jobs, and there's no programming jobs to be had because AI is doing everything. And I mean everything when it comes to this. And that's where it's going. It's learning how to use AI is what we should be teaching. We need to teach for the future, but you got to learn the basics. And I think it's not just, by the way, a lot of this was aimed at the parents because a lot of times AI has become the parent's new de facto. Oh, you talk to AI. They'll tell you how to do the problem. I don't want to.
I taught for 3 years. I wasn't always a teacher. I actually started my career in digital marketing. So I've been in the digital world for about 5 years now. I would say that in all of my teaching experience, technology has posed quite a challenge. With AI becoming so accessible to children nowadays, especially teaching in an English or Core 4 classroom, it's been especially challenging kind of to have the kids comprehend and critical think and think for themselves. On my way out, I wanted to kind of raise awareness and just let people know how AI and technology is affecting their children these days.
But it's not going anywhere. And it's a weird, one of the things in the big, beautiful bill is whether or not they should limit AI and have certain restrictions on it, which is getting a lot of pushback. Again, there's a lot of things that are going to be pushed back. And while it might be the end of the world, it's also what our enemies are working on. So you can't get rid of AI. And it is incredible. You've got to learn how to use it. And for all the money people are pouring into AI, a vast majority of it, it's fun to play with. People don't know how to use it as a benefit for the most part. They don't understand what to do with it. It's neat. It answers questions. It's like having a little pal. Stuff like that, but they don't know how to use it for their work, and workplaces don't really understand what to do with it yet. But kids need to learn how to use it. But like anything else, we continue to teach for the past when we need to teach for the future and a bit of the present. And AI is going to be a part of it, but you've got to learn the basics of reading. And, of course, math and things like that. Although, saying that, Bell was using a calculator the other day because he's like, that's stupid not to, right?
Well, yeah, why wouldn't I?
I don't know. I mean,
especially I was using a time calculator.
Yeah, because we were Bell was trying to time out like best of segments and stuff, and he was trying to time it out just right. And you got to use, most people would have just said, oh, I know what time it is, and we can go on there. But
I have no clue what time it is. Can we go home yet?
Yes, we can.
In my English classroom, I would ask them to write down a short response or just 5 sentences to answer a question. And a lot of times it would be about 2.5 sentences. And they would say, well, I can't think of anything else to say. Or, well, why do I have to answer in complete sentences? A lot of times I would assign essays, long form essays. And so when a student, how I know how they write typically would give me a very eloquently and thorough essay on a topic that I know that normally wouldn't come from them, I would ask them, was this really you? And I'd run it through an AI generator. And of course, it would say 100% ChatGPT or AI.
You ever had that where like a kid gives you, it's like, I know you didn't write this, Johnny. Yeah. To whom it may concern, you could barely spell your name. 77 years ago. Oh, never. I'm always like, part of getting away with certain things is like, okay, let me see what you did with the report. Okay, here's the report. Okay, you did this report for me because I used to have the girls do the reports for me because it was boring. And then I had to go change it up. I'm like, this would be an A. I'm never getting an A. I got to make it a C. That's what you do. Using these things are amazing, but I'm shocked by how stupid our country has become across the board. Was it 1 in 5 adults can't read at a 10th grade level? What? That's Baltimore. Man, if you guys haven't heard about how bad Baltimore schools are, they are beyond bad. And math-wise, there was several school districts where the person who scored like a 2 was like the highest.
Wow.
It was, everybody failed. It's that bad. But a lot of kids think they look at AI, it's like, AI will do it for me. This is their answer to, well, I'm never going to use math. I'll have a calculator. But the difference is this is all encompassing.
We better hope all these satellites don't go dark. Or we're done.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the funny thing about that, like you said that, it's not the satellites. You know what it is? It's, the satellites a bit, but it's the electricity. Because if you can't charge your phone, how many people panic? We did that study a couple weeks ago. The average person starts to get anxiety at 37%.
Yeah.
Good God. Because I've often wondered, like, and part of this also goes back to, like, we make our kids get bored once or twice a day. We want them to get bored because that stimulates, let's go do something. Let's let the imagination do stuff. And my daughter, Charlie in particular, she lives in an imaginary world. She's all over the place. It's phenomenal. I love that. We don't let kids get bored anymore because we don't have to. And I'm telling you, the AI thing is as much about the parents who don't maybe know how to answer that question that you've asked.
That would be me.
When did you start feeling like when that kid brought some home in fourth grade? They're like, hey, what is this? You're like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, let me check that. You know what? Hold on. I got to go in the other room and grab something. And you're like Googling it.
Absolutely,
How do you do fractions again?
Absolutely. I mean, math, the way I was taught math was repetition and memory.
Yes.
And then my son and my daughter, both, they had to explain how they came up with the answer, and I was lost.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. And like in math in particular, great mathematicians, one of the greatest mathematicians was an Indian guy who, if you guys, there's a movie came out several years ago about it. He was brilliant. Never had formal training, grew up in some of the poorest parts of India, and he picked up a book one day that was meant for like brilliant, beyond calculus kind of thing, and he knew answers. The problem is he could see the answers. He didn't know how to get to them.
He didn't know how to get to them.
And in math and science and stuff, they want you to prove out all of that stuff,
right?
Not just say, well, because.
Exactly. Why is 5 times 5 25? Because.
Because. That's all you need to know. And he had trouble with that.
Math is racist.
I know it is. So is spelling.
Spelling.
Show your work. That's right. Somebody just texted, show your work.
Show your work.
Show your work. Show your work. All you got to do is hold up your phone. Chat GPT, show your work.
Here you go, teach.
Where'd you get that? Oh, my Lord. Coming up. Did you guys hear about the Free Willy Pot deux? Have you heard about these whales? This is a crazy story.
The beluga whales?
No, these killer whales. It is a trip. We're going to talk a little bit about that. A bunch of other stuff to get to as well. And speaking of school, we'll touch on it next hour, but the scholarship thingies went into effect today.
Yeah, that's right.
Wonder how that's going. We'll talk a little bit about that. A bunch of other good stuff on the way. Reach out to us across all of our social media. We got tons of it. Like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Share as well, which is good. Every time you share and you like, that's a good thing for all of us. We should come up with some sort of like WTN bucks, like a meme coin, where the more that you like and subscribe and share and you show your work, the more of those bucks build up and you can get stuff.
Sharing's not just for kids and their toys.
No, it's not. And you know what? Sharing is caring. Just want to let you guys know that.
Very true.
Very true. It's Chad Ben's Show, Super Talk 997. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Little vitamin, little minerals, little probiotics, omega 369. It is a supplement that you put on top of your dog's food, right? Think of a little accoutrement. 1 scoop a day. Don't even change your dog's food and watch what happens. Now, I've talked about my older dogs. So I got 2 little dogs that are 5 and 6. They are happy. They're healthy. We never take them to the vet. They're never sick, ever. Never have an issue, nothing. It's incredible. Why? 1 scoop a day. That's it. They're happy. Thank you, Rough Greens. Try a Jumpstart trial of Rough Greens today. When you get it, it's 1 scoop a day. You don't have to change it and buy new food. Dog food is dead food. This helps bring your dog's food to life. And over the next 90 days, you're going to see an improvement like no other. From better immune system to stronger energy. Their fur and coat are going to be thicker, shinier, with less shedding, and it's going to help their heart health. It's incredible. It's a $20 value Jumpstart trial bag for free. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. Ruffgreens.com/chat. RUFFgreens.com/chat.
Okay, drivers downtown, police reporting a crash 24 eastbound near Shelby Avenue. That's going to be over there on the East Loop. Then north of downtown, police activity off on the left shoulder. 65 southbound before Trinity Lane. Then 40 eastbound near Church Street. Police reporting a crash. Another air traffic control blackout. Tell you about that at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I just saw this one. I feel like now they're doing it on purpose. Like, hey, look, let's turn these things off for a little while so we can bitch and moan so we need more money.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything with the airline industry now going on a year. I mean, it's just one after another. You know, mishaps on the tarmac or on the runway, close calls in the sky, actual collisions in the sky, and now all of a sudden ATC blackouts.
Yeah, because this one, I think it was Denver, right?
Yep.
Like, that's a big airport. That's
Yes.
no joke. That's no joke.
20 pilots had no idea where to go.
Down. I'd go down usually. But, I mean, some other people maybe go other directions.
I think I would have pulled up and I don't know, man.
Just throw the parachute on and jump out.
Throw the parachute on. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice there'll be some people leaving the plane. Don't worry, that's us.
You might have noticed a steep descent. That was on purpose.
Oh, my God.
Because we do not know where we're at.
And the reason is they didn't pay their bill?
Actually, if I'm going into Denver, yeah, I'm going up because of the mountains.
And you know what's scary about Denver is that's a fairly new-ish airport in areas around. So that shouldn't be that far by. Like Newark and some of these other places, they're super 1970s. I mean, it's bell bottoms and
cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
They're still smoking indoors.
Oh, my God. What did I see the other night? It was a movie. It was a show. And I'm like, they're smoking inside.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, wow.
What year was it? Like 1970?
It was like the 80s because you could smoke in the 80s.
Yeah, that's true.
I have pictures from this is how much life has changed. Everybody in our age group, your mom, there's a picture of your mom with you pregnant, and she's got a drink in one hand and a smoke in the other. Oh, my goodness. We turned out fine.
We did.
No, we didn't.
Well, fine-ish. Fine-ish.
Now we're still here.
But it is weird to watch people smoke, like, inside when you go back.
Yeah.
Oh, so bizarre. So
I remember, there were smoking areas, in the restaurants, but smoke goes everywhere. I mean, you could smell the cigarettes.
Well, it's like being on an airplane. Like, smoking or non-smoking. Oh, yeah. What? Hey, I was talking about the, so this, like, marine land in France went out of business. And everybody just left. You know what didn't leave? The orcas still swimming around in their pool.
That's not right.
No. So they're trying to figure out how to get him to somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to release him in the ocean because they've only ever known captivity, and they know that they've seen that in the past, that they're not going to fare well because they don't have family, so it wouldn't go well. And so they're trying to find another place to take him. Here's the problem. They're expensive to keep.
And move, I would think.
Yeah, that's easy. But, it's easy. It's no big deal. Just throw them on the back. Just throw them on the back of the thing. It'll be fine. Just roll up a U-Haul. We'll be good. We'll be good. We'll be good. But it's so sad because you see it's just two. It's a kid and, it's one of the offspring and I think the mom or the dad. And they're just swimming around this pool by themselves. There's nothing there. And I'm like, you guys went out of business and nobody. What? How did you not think, hey, we're probably not going to make it business-wise. We should look for some of these things to get rid of. Nah, we're out of business. Lock it up.
Maybe they can catch birds.
Maybe.
That land on the water for a drink.
You never know. Now somebody's in there feeding them now. Thank goodness, but still.
Yeah,
wait, coming up. Hour number 3 of the program. It is Chad Ben's Show, Super Dope 997.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And again, National Weather Service has changed things up a little bit when it comes to our risk of severe weather today. Right now, everybody in Middle Tennessee, along and north of I-40, you are at a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. We're talking about the potential for quarter-size hail, winds in excess of 50 miles per hour, low tornado threat. This starts today at 4 until about 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow, we're in an even more higher risk for severe weather. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Denver Airport's air traffic control reportedly struck by a staggering 6-minute outage earlier this week. Apparently, several radio transmitters suddenly went dark. The frequency outage meant that as many as 20 pilots were unable to reach air traffic controllers as they descended into Denver International Airport on Monday afternoon. Now, apparently, one controller made contact with one aircraft on what is called a guard line, which is typically only used when a pilot's in distress. That pilot was then able to reach other nearby planes and tell them to switch radio frequencies. Another student found with a gun at school here in Nashville. Metro Police saying the Evolve weapons detection system hit on a backpack at Whites Creek High School. Officials say there was a loaded semi-automatic pistol with the serial number scratched off. A 16-year-old student charged in juvenile court with bringing a weapon onto school property and unlawful gun possession. Police in San Antonio, Texas may have averted another mass shooting this week, arresting a teenager who showed up at school wearing a mask, a camouflage jacket, and tactical pants. Jim Ryan says the boy's mother has also been taken into custody.
Ashley Pardo is accused of giving ammunition and tactical gear to her middle school-aged son, knowing that he was planning an act of mass violence. An affidavit says the 33-year-old had previously been contacted by police, but did nothing about her son's behavior. Other parents are furious.
I would have hoped they would have done something else and not have let him back.
Rena Chase has a child at the same school.
He doesn't need to be anywhere in the school area.
Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Executives at Walmart warning of price increases as a result of U.S. tariffs imposed in recent months. CEO Doug McMillon telling analysts on an earnings call price hikes could hit coffee, avocados, bananas, and roses, as well as a particularly acute risk of price increases for merchandise from China. He says tariff-driven price increases hit some goods in April and will continue through the year. And a new report on Nashville's socioeconomic well-being. The Tennessean says the annual community needs evaluation by Metro Social Services claims a single person without kids needs to make at least $52,858 a year to be considered making a living wage in Music City. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's getting harder, baby.
I got 86 degrees.
Ooh, like that. So, rain, what are we looking at here?
All right, 4 o'clock. Starting at 4 o'clock today, that is when we are at risk for severe weather. Now, for everybody along and north of I-40, you're at least a level 2 out of 5 risk. Everybody south of I-40, a level 1 out of 5 risk.
Okay.
And we're talking about, damaging winds, some hail. Can't rule out tornadoes tonight. Okay. And then tomorrow is when it is the more significant risk of severe weather. We're talking about a level 3 out of 5 risk for everybody in Middle Tennessee. But here's the deal with Clarksville. Clarksville and Kentucky, you're a level 4 out of 5. So tomorrow looks to be really looks to be the biggest, the most likely we could see severe weather, and that's after 7 o'clock tomorrow evening.
Go get nasty.
It could.
Chance
it could
get nasty. It's a possibility. But you know what? We're here for you. Unless you're too far away in our listening area, then we're not as here for you as you think.
Yeah, so we invite you to drive within the listening area to hear all about it.
If you're watching us on YouTube and you're 100 miles away from there, we wish you the absolute best. You might have to move 100 miles away just to get a house. Let's break down those numbers there, my good friend, ladies and gentlemen, because the middle class is getting squeezed.
All right, we're talking about CBS running a story about some numbers from the National Association of Realtors. It says homeownership considered a mainstay of the American dream, but a shortage of affordable homes blocking that pathway. Only about 1 in 5 listed homes in March were considered affordable for households with $75,000 in annual income.
Man.
To get back to the pre-pandemic level of affordable homes, the U.S. would have to add more than 400,000 new listings priced at $255,000 or below.
Yeah, that's
when's that going to happen?
That's not happening.
Median sale price in the first quarter of 2025 was almost $420,000, and in Nashville that was around $480,000.
And then you couple that with the fact that the numbers out as far as the middle class and what you need just to have a living wage.
Yeah, living wage in Nashville. And this is for a single person. No responsibilities like kids or anything like that. You got to make $52,858 a year. Now, here's the deal. All right, so it breaks down like this. At least 326,000 people in Nashville who work in the top 20 occupations don't make anywhere near that, yet they make too much to qualify for any type of assistance.
What kind of assistance can they get? I'm often curious about that.
I'm not sure. I mean, there's definitely food assistance out there.
Yeah, SNAP and other benefits.
Yeah,
but you know what? We here's the one thing I know about human beings. As divided as we can be, we take care of our own. We do. You know, there's a lot of places out there. They get grants and stuff, but there's a lot of food shelters out there. And I know during COVID and times, I remember in 2008, you drive by some of these places and you're seeing people with cars. They didn't know the markets were going to collapse, and they've got they're driving. They're in line and they got like a Lexus.
Yeah, they're in line for food. And that's one thing. I mean, that's one thing about the United States is you do not have to go hungry.
No, you got to try to go hungry. And as we know from yesterday and a talk of people of size, that doesn't happen very much. Got a little, they're, talking about people who are overachievers. Obese? That sounds worse, right? Obese?
Obese.
Yeah. That sounds like a horror, like you're obese.
Yeah.
So you've got to try to go hungry. I mean, you're not going to go hungry here. And we talk about even with the SNAP benefits and everything, are poor because it's cheaper to eat bad food. Are poor or overweight.
Yeah. Processed foods.
And it's, but man, I'm telling you, when you hear that's 52,000,
Yeah, 52,858.
And you're not living like, you're not like walking around going, woo-wee. Right. You're not making it rain. No.
You're single, you don't have any kids, and you still don't make enough to, or you make too much to actually get any help if you need it.
That's and the building the houses, it's always about the build the houses. Well,
only need 400,000.
Yeah, but you're not building the houses. You're not going to build the houses in a timely fashion. Right. That's just it. You're not going to build the houses in a timely fashion. And it is, and I understand, the frustration. We're there because, we moved out here and, you didn't know when we first moved out here, it's like, you never know where you want to live. Right. Because I've made the mistake of,
rushing
it. Next thing you know, you're like, what?
Yeah.
But we came out and we got lucky. But we're deciding, okay, do we want to move? We'd like to maybe stay another year here because, we're enjoying it. I like not driving.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But now I'm starting to think, okay, if we want a yard, if we want other things, you got to start asking yourself, what are you willing to take drive-wise? And that's, and because if you think it's 45 minutes on average today, what's it look like in 12 months? Is it 55? What's it look like? Because you're not buying the house for a year. All right? What's it look like in 18 months? Is it 65? And you're like, what's it look like in bad weather? Oh, see? No, we don't want to depress you guys. We want to be honest with you.
Yeah, whenever we do have those rare moments of ice and snow, it's pretty difficult for a lot of people to get into work in Nashville. That's a long drive for a lot of them.
Yeah, and, people get upset at traffic. That's everywhere because you don't plan enough for, if you were here 15 years ago and the freeways were double the size or triple the size, you people, this is stupid. What a waste of money because you don't plan for those kind of things in the long term. But you've got to think, okay, will people move here? And it is, I get the frustration, and it's not going to get better anytime soon. It isn't. Somebody texted in and said, well, it's not an employer's job to pay a living wage. No, it's not.
Not saying it is.
But here's the thing. If you want people and you need people and you're not going to pay them, they'll go elsewhere if they can.
If they can. Yeah.
And that's just it. Remember during the pandemic where it was like people working 3 jobs, right? Remote, and they're making tons of money. And they're like, place across the street offered me booming money. I'm going to go cross the street. Now it's like you'll hear people say, I sent out 300 resumes. Not one person's got back to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and that's only going to get worse with AI because we already have HR departments that use the internet as a way to keep you at arm's length. Yes. When I got my first job with Virgin Records doing record promotion, the guy that I was interviewing with, he wouldn't take my call after the first interview because he wanted to see how proactive I was going to be to try to get him on the phone, just like I would with the radio program director.
Oh, okay.
So he went probably 3 weeks and would not take my phone call, but I wouldn't stop calling. And finally, he took the phone call and he goes, this is what I was wanting to see. You don't even have the opportunity to do that anymore.
No. You're absolutely right. First of all, nobody's going to pick up their phone. Because if it's really that important, you'd have their number and text them. But you don't have that opportunity anymore. And the AI now, HR is using AI to send back fake letters and whatever, because they just, like you said, they don't want.
That no human ever looked at.
Ever looked at. You've got to start coming up with ways. That's what we should start. We should start having, that's what you guys should go to Busy Bee if you ever were, telling you guys they're having that big thing on May 31st. We can go over there and check out what it's like to be a plumber in HVAC. Those are the things that's why I'm so happy my son said he wanted to go to a trade school because it's a smart thing.
I sent a resume out one time to a record company, and the email that I got back, which was automated, was, we've decided to pursue candidates whose work history better aligns with the position. And I looked at that and I went, you didn't even read the email, you morons. I do exactly what you're trying to hire for. And you're telling me it doesn't align with the position? Yeah. Nobody looked at it.
No, you ran up against an algorithm.
Yes.
Something weeded you out.
Child labor is coming back. That's what somebody said. Well, now they're going to find out. You guys should have stayed in school, right? Would you rather be playing kickball right now? Because you can't even, your little resume is not even getting anybody call you back.
Yeah.
But you're right, man. That is.
Like, you can't even talk to somebody now.
No. God, no.
My daughter, fortunately, she's able to do partly what she went to school for, but, she's also got to attend bar at the same time. And so she's fortunate that she's building her resume up with, digital marketing. But she has been putting out resume after resume, contacting people since she graduated 3 years ago, and she's not getting anything. If she does get anything back, they say she doesn't have enough experience.
Yeah, and you can't get experience because nobody's willing to hire you.
Right.
And so you've just got to be a hustler. I mean, that's you have to hustle. And this is where it sounds weird, but it's all about relationships. I mean, that's how that's how things are being built now. If it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yes.
Because you find the right person that's willing to give you a chance, and you get in there, and those things change. And you know what? Everybody talks about Nepo babies, and that's everywhere.
When I lost my job at Artist Direct Records in Atlanta, one of the things I learned, you had to go to classes in Atlanta to get unemployment insurance. And one of the things they told me was that 87% of people that found new positions found them based on networking.
Uh-huh.
And that less than 5% of people that got positions through the internet got them through sending resume out cold.
Yeah, you're just not. Yeah, and if you're going to do something, you have to come up with something cool. What's the coolest thing you ever did to try to get somebody's attention?
I went to the grocery store and I got some cow's brains. And I emailed the cow's brains with dry ice to this guy. And I said, here, now you finally have the brains to hire me.
Really? And?
Yeah, I got the job.
And he's like, and I got a restraining order. But he knew who I was. I was on the radar. What about you, Ken? Did you do anything wacky?
I've never had to do anything wacky. I've been fortunate enough that my job searches were lucrative.
That's how he rolls, guys. Plus, you're in this business long enough, you know people.
And people are like, oh, it's Weaver. We want him.
Yeah, it's the weave. It's the weave dog. We understand this guy. Well, he's got his choice.
There's no interview. Just hire him. Why are you talking to me about this?
He's got his choice.
Well, there's a couple of radio station operators back in the 80s who probably wouldn't rehire me.
Yeah, they're fools. They're fools.
I love the cow brains. That was awesome.
That is a good idea, Brother Bilal.
I sent a package off in like a pizza box with my resume and a tape. Like in a tape, but like a thumb drive thing back.
Yeah.
And with a Starbucks gift card to a lady named Robin Bertolucci, who just retired from KFI in Los Angeles, the biggest talk station in the country. And she got it. She called me within 5 minutes and said, because I said, go get coffee, just listen to my stuff. And she called me within 5 minutes. And she says, because I was up in Sacramento, she goes, when you're in LA, you come by. And we built a great relationship. And while I never worked at KFI, Robin and I became friends, and it was great because Robin would say, hey, Chad, these people, they're looking for, your national show. They're looking for something perfect for this. And we built through there, but it was the kind of thing, she goes, I get stuff every day. She goes, never got anything like this before. And she goes, and you hand wrote a letter.
Interesting.
There was somebody, when I was first working at KDF, there was somebody on the sister station, KDA, that sent their resume in on orange paper, and the resumes have been collected into a small stack, and his got pulled out of the stack because it stood out from all the other white papers.
That's so cool. Well, again, smart. It's the little things. But then when you meet people, if you learn how to network and you learn how to do things right, relationships, that should be the thing taught in school besides the AI stuff that's going on. Teach people how to cultivate relationships.
Yep.
And that changes everything.
And that went away during all the shutdowns.
Oh, it totally went away during all the shutdowns. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. I want to talk a bit about the school, the vouchers winner. I mean, are they already gone? How's this working? I know Matt said yesterday they were expecting God knows how many people.
He said 100,000.
100,000. I would assume it's, I don't know, at some point, is it just a lottery? Or is it the first come, first serve? I don't know. We'll talk a little bit about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Oh, kids, Birch Gold. Awesome. Gold in their heels. But gold is important because it's a great asset to have to protect yourself in the event that something goes sideways in life. And especially if you're building up a nice little nest egg for yourself, gold can help you just in case things go sideways. It's a great way to not only earn, but to protect. And that's what I love about gold. Birch Gold's amazing. I want you to text the word Benson to 989898 today. The Rio Reset, you hear a lot of stuff about BRICS and what they may do, and they want to decouple from the dollar. If they could crush the dollar, they would. Having gold is a great way to move yourself in a position with tariffs and all these other things. Could something happen that goes sideways? Yeah. Well, if you're sitting in a position where you've got that safety net, that protects you now and for the future, and gold helps you do it. Text the word Benson right now to 989898 for Birch Gold. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. They're my gold company. That's who I buy from. You should do the same. Text the word Benson to 989898 for Birch Gold.
Another air traffic control blackout. Evolved technology has led to the arrest of another kid with a gun at school in Nashville. These stories and more at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, families can now apply for the Education Freedom Scholarships worth just over $7,000 per student to go to a private school of their choice. Now, Representatives Gino Bulso, Jake McCalman, and Lee Reeves say that these new scholarships will help families choose the best education for their kids, calling it a way to put parents in control. Now, the program run by the Department of Education will fund up to 20,000 students statewide for the 2025-2026 school year. Half of those slots are set aside for lower income students, while the other half are open to any eligible family.
So Matt said yesterday they were expecting 100,000. I'm not quite sure how many people signed up today. So 10,000 folks signed up. I think, again, the $7,000 for when done right. Right. And this is the thing with school choice, because I already saw it with Governor Lee's out there. Is like, we should really already start extending this. You're like, wait a minute, let's get it off the ground first. Right. And learn from the mistakes from other places, because there has been plenty, which is something I think surprised when I was out in Arizona. That surprised the teachers and the Democrats. They're like, look, everybody's, like, look what's going on. We're in debt now because everybody wanted to have school choice. Well, shouldn't you learn from that people wanted to have some choice in their education? But you got to make sure that there's accountability when it comes to these charter schools, because I'm telling you, there's going to be a bunch popping up. They're going to be like McDonald's. And you got to have accountability. And I want to see what it really looks like and how they handle the money. And because, a lot of these kids who are getting the quote unquote scholarships, they're already in private school. And that's what happened to a lot of places around the country. The one thing I like about it is there's a cap for the first year. You got that, 20,000 is it. Because otherwise, like today, could you imagine if in theory they said there was no cap and we had 100,000 people apply to get this? We'd be in a world of hurt. They'd be like, oh, no.
Well, I think they actually looked at Arizona and the mistakes that Arizona made and adjusted accordingly.
Yeah, because it got, Arizona, it put a crimp on them. They went from looking at a surplus to being upside down because so many people applied. And a lot of that, now, would it have been different 8 years ago without COVID? COVID changed a lot of all of this because parents got an insight into their kids' schooling and they said, no, I'm not liking this. Parents also got a picture of the unions and the teachers and the politicking of keeping kids out of school. And they said no. And I said from jump, parents will remember. Parents will remember. And they did. And the Democrats are going to cry, oh, this is going to destroy public education. No, choice is a wonderful thing. But you do have to watch the fly-by-night, and you have to learn from the others who've come before you and in some cases failed miserably. You do the opposite. And I'm glad, because if 100,000 people really applied and they had a chance to get it, and you didn't budget for that because you're like, I don't know how many people are really going to apply for this. Oh, that would have been ugly, You tell people. So 10,000 who are, I guess, in the poverty, lower income. I don't know. What do you say anymore? You don't say poor anymore?
Poor.
Lower. Can you say poor?
I think Pamela Furr just sent me a text and said that, hold on a second here. Let me pull it back up.
Broke ass? Can you say that?
It's 10,000 based on income and then 10,000 in a general pool.
Okay. Ask her really quick. If you text her and say, is it a lottery or is it first come, first serve?
It's a lottery.
Oh, it's a lottery.
Because so many are applying.
Oh,
she said, remind Chad, charter schools are not private schools, so they don't accept money from the scholarship program.
Okay, that's good. So just private school. And private schools, by the way, are a little bit more than $7,000.
Hi, Pam.
What do you think? When I went to a private school, my mom got to the point where they had to pay schools to take me. And then we went to a point where some of the schools, even paying, they wouldn't take me. Bethany Baptist.
And then it got to the point where they paid you to stay away.
It was Bethany Baptist. They asked me to leave. They said, could you please leave? And I said I could. Yeah, that was bad. That was not my, well, let me rephrase that. Looking back, it was one of my finer moments. My dad laughed. My mother did not. It was quite the story, kids. I will tell you that right now. Coming up, a lot of good stuff still to squeeze into this hour, kids. Talk a little bit about SCOTUS, right? They heard some birthright stuff today. A little bit about that. Are you having Gen Z fatigue? That's a real thing. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Everyone in Middle Tennessee is under at least a level 1 out of 5 at risk of severe weather today. But if you're along and north of 40, it's a level 2 out of 5, starting at 4 until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then tomorrow is a different story. Everybody in Middle Tennessee under at least a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather. Can't rule out tornadoes with it. Tell you more about it during the full forecast in 5 minutes. Another air traffic control blackout. This happening on Monday at Denver International Airport, where for 6 minutes, as many as 20 pilots were unable to reach the tower as they were descending for landing. Right now in Nashville, evolved technology has led to the arrest of another kid with a gun at school. Metro Police says the technology hit on a 16-year-old Whites Creek High School junior's backpack, which had a loaded handgun this morning. He's now being charged in juvenile court. A new report on Nashville's socioeconomic well-being. The Tennessean says the annual community needs evaluation by Metro Social Services claims a single person without kids needs to make at least $52,858 a year for what would be considered a living wage in Music City. And CBS News publishing new analysis from the National Association of Realtors that claims only 1 in 5 listed homes in March were affordable for households with $75,000 in annual income. Then there is this from the nation's largest retailer.
Walmart says it has no choice but to raise prices due to higher costs from the tariffs implemented by President Trump. The company posting strong sales in the first quarter and saying it expects growth in the second quarter as well. However, like other companies, Walmart is not issuing a profit outlook, saying the chaotic on-again, off-again tariffs are making it too difficult to make a fiscal prediction.
Sherry Preston reporting, and that's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Rain in the forecast. Could be heavy at times. What are you doing when it comes to, I don't know, those little cracks, those little areas where you're not quite sure what's happening? USS is what you're going to do. You're going to call them because you don't want it to get worse. Little things become medium-sized things, become a nightmare. USS is there to help. Call 615-488-7855. Maybe, the winter, stuff could have happened and you got a little burst here and there. You didn't really know it. You didn't really understand, or maybe you got that crack and all of a sudden stuff's leaking in. Oh, my. Your foundation, the nightmare, you get some wood rot. Oh, mold, please, God. No, you don't want that. They've been around 30 years. United Structural Systems, ready to help. Experience in basement, crawl space, waterproofing, basement, wall stabilization, foundation repair. You name it, they can do it. Come out. Don't charge you anything, give you a free inspection. They're not going to sell you anything that you don't need. They'll take care of you. Stop it before it starts when it comes to all that damage that's potentially out there. Call USS today if you're worried about anything. Even if there's that slight, what if? Call 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or online at USSTN.com. MyPillow. Go to MyPillow.com/Benson. That's me. And use promo code Benson. Why? Because of the sheet sale going on now. Giza Dream Sheets, per sale bed sheets. Right now, your chance to get them wholesale prices. What? Yes. Deep discounts. So the Giza Dream Sheets are amazing. I love mine. Several sets. They're incredible. It's like sleeping on $1 million. Giza cotton, awesome. Ultra soft, super breathable. It's just incredible. Right now, $49.98. Any color, size, period. King, queen, split king, cow king, all that stuff. Any of that. Now, if you're like me this time of year, though, I go with the per cow. You say, why? Sleep crisp and cool. That's what I like. A little hot sleeper myself. And 100% long staple cotton. So these are super breathable, which I love. Deep pocket design, snug fit, queen size, normally $90. Yours, $29.98. King size, just $34.98. Go to MyPillow.com/Benson. Use code Benson. Once they're gone, though, at these prices, they're gone. So certain amount allotment. Jump on these opportunities right now. MyPillow.com/Benson. MyPillow.com/Benson.
The speaker is still meeting with these holdouts who have a number of policy disagreements with this massive piece of legislation that's going to be the vehicle for all of President Trump's campaign promises. What Republicans have officially named, by the way, as of today, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, taking what the president calls it, putting into legislative language.
That is stupid. Big Beautiful Bill.
Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Yeah, act. And wait till you see some of the pork they've already been arguing over, right? Because people are wondering, okay, because they're already hearing stories. And this is not the final, right? None of this is close to being the final. But the big, beautiful, it's a big, beautiful bill. It's never been bigger. It's never been better.
The likes of which nobody's ever seen.
It's never looked this good.
Ever. It's never been this good, ever. The chances of it getting through the House the way it is, they're already pushing back. Then you get to the Senate and nah.
While hardliners say they want even more to be done to Medicaid in this bill before it's brought to a vote next week, there are already some moderate Republicans, particularly in the Senate, who say they don't like the direction this legislation is taking Medicaid. Josh Hawley, a Senate Republican in Missouri, is chief among them. So you might see some wrangling back and forth on Medicaid, even if this legislation gets out of the House.
Who is calling for more Medicaid cuts? Now, I can, like the work thing, I don't have a problem with that. What did you say when you were on unemployment? You had to go to what, a workshop or something?
Well, no, in order to stay on unemployment in Georgia, you have to attend basically workshop classes on looking for a job. It was one of the ways that they sort of forced you to look while you were collecting.
They make you come to something that is so insane that even if you wanted to stay on unemployment, you're like, I'm going to go find a job because I can't do this.
Yeah, and it was just completely, you get there and you have to be an idiot to not know what they were telling you.
And you know what? There's probably idiots there.
Yes, without a doubt.
There's probably a bunch of idiots there. You think who, like when we do those videos that they make us, every company in the world makes you do, right? You know what I'm talking about. Like, who, does anybody really talk like this? Does anybody say this to a coworker?
And especially in this day and age.
Yeah. Does anybody do this? It's the same thing. Like were you there? Were you marveling at how stupid some people are?
Oh yeah. And to be quite honest and open about, there were a few things I learned where I looked at myself and I'm like, how could you have been that dumb?
Like?
Just the percentages of what you have to do to get a response. People send a resume out and think, oh, well, somebody's going to read it. And I think I remember him telling me that something to the effect of 40% of resumes never even get screened by anyone or by a machine or anything. They show up and they get left in a collection email box somewhere.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, and I hate to burst your bubble if you're looking for a gig, there is go to Busy Bee, they're hiring. They post stuff because they have to, but they've already got somebody for the job.
Well, and there's also something that goes on now where they post things because they want to collect email addresses because they can sell them.
Because they can sell the data.
Yeah.
Man. Whew. Oh, my Lord. That is just...
You have no job available, but if you post a quote-unquote opening, you can collect all that data and then turn right around and sell it. And, if you agreed to the end-user license agreement when you use their system, you've unknowingly given away your data.
Good God. You are not the person you're not the end user they're looking for. You're the bait.
You become the product.
Yeah, you become the product. That's just, I'm fascinated. But I bet you, because you're pretty damn smart, Belle, for the fact that you have no head. I do find it weird, though. Like, I could have just imagined you sitting around going, are you people idiots? Because have you met America?
Yes.
Like, honestly, guys, you met America? You ever wonder, like,
how do 90% of Americans have jobs?
Yeah. That's Daniel Toss. That was his great bit where he goes, have you met America? That is 90% of America. That's what I'm surprised about.
The unemployment rate's 10%. What I want to know is how 90% of Americans actually have work.
Yeah. Somebody said that makes me not want to look for a job online at all.
Well, you don't discount it, but you don't use it as your only tool either.
That's the thing. You can't use it as your only tool. But networking is the best thing. If you want a gig, you got to go to what it is that you want to do, right? So if you want to be, if you're interested in finance, you got to go to a place where people are and talk to them. How do you get in and start networking? But in a day and age when people are terrified of stuff, oh my God, I'm afraid of everything. How do you get a young person to do that? I have no idea.
No.
I don't know. But I could have just imagined I would have lost my mind. Started yelling at people.
Well, some of it I did feel like, okay, I learned something today, but by and large, I was like, why am I sitting here wasting my life in this room? I could be out looking for a job.
Well, I think half of that's the goal. The people because the people that need it, okay, they're there for that too. If you're, back in the day when women stayed home and America was great, but no, back in if your husband died or he left, you may have not worked ever outside of the home. So this is all new. But nowadays it's, good God, just awful. Speaking of awful, this is hilarious. Just for Ken, I've got a lady who's over Gen Z.
You know what I have, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the world is starting to have it too? Liberal fatigue. Because their platform is genuinely one of the most vile things I've ever seen in my 24 years of being on this earth, and yet they still feel justified going around giving everybody else a moral litmus test that they themselves can't even pass. Their platform is built off of things like dismembering children and praising terrorists, and then they wonder why they don't really have the credibility, and then that results in them having to throw a tantrum with their mob mentality when you don't say and think exactly like they do. And it's getting pretty tiring.
Yeah, it does get tiring. It gets very tiring. There is a group here. They're nationwide. They're Nashville. I want to try to get somebody on for there. They're called Brave Angels. And their goal is to try to bring people together from the right and the left. And they hold debates. And they have a blue and a red, if you will. It's very interesting. But, yeah, people live in echo chambers. And the left lives in arguably, they pretend to not live in an echo chamber. But they are so, I was telling everybody, I get a lot of you who will yell at me if because you love Trump. Some of you love Trump so much or, whatever. But the vial I get, though, on my national show from the left is so disgusting and so crazy over the years. The voicemails they leave me. I mean, it's nuts.
Well, we heard that one.
Oh, he was fun. He was fun. And they do. They their platform is insanity. And the funny thing is I look over and I think, okay, like Ro Kahana, who's from California, he's maybe one of the only normal people out there on the left side. He's the one who just put the bill out there and says, Trump, let's put this bill together, this pharmacy bill. Let's do it all together. Let's rock and roll. Let's sponsor it. And he's the one that came out and he said today, hey, Democrats, stop lying about how bad Biden was. Everybody knew how bad he was. We all did. And everybody was afraid to say something. Now, the journalists are running around. Like I want to get Jake Tapper on.
I got to sell a book. I got to sell a book.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, we got to get, if only I had somebody who helped me with booking. Oh, okay. But if we can get Alex Thompson on, I take Alex because co-wrote the book. The funny thing, Alex Thompson co-wrote the book that's out there with the Original Sin or whatever it's called about the Biden thing. The interesting thing about that is Jake is taking the lead because obviously Jake is a much bigger, media personality. But Alex is the only one who called it out for a couple of years and tried to get closer. And Alex really got shut out. Like when you talk about it, but Alex could see what was going on. And Alex got destroyed and won an award, by the way, for like, hey, you were telling the truth. But I love how the way they're acting now is that they solve some sort of mystery. It'd be like if Ken and I wrote a book today about Watergate. Like we knew it.
Knew it all the time.
Every day. Oh, my Lord. People commenting about the great big beautiful plane. It's a beautiful plane. You want to know the issue with the big plane? First of all, it's a white elephant gift. We don't need it. Secondly, one of the reasons Boeing's having serious issues delivering these planes? They can't find enough people for security clearance. You need to have the top of the line security clearance to build these airplanes for the president. They don't have enough. They do not have enough people to work on the planes with the top, super top. You can get a lot of people with security clearance, but being a person who's a mechanic or can do some of these things.
Well, that makes 100% sense when you're talking about building something for the president, but what the hell's their excuse for all their other problems?
Well, that's a different story. Like not knowing how to bring people home. That was still...
We don't know who to talk to.
Elon, building planes. That's what he
you
should
wanted
do.
to go to space? Stay there for a while.
I think Elon is, I think he's going to focus now on the Boring Company. So if you guys, it's not about being boring. It's his where he drills to the ground because Tesla's in a lot of hurt. It is bad. It was struggling before. I think the BYD is the name of the car in China that is the rival to Tesla. Blows it away. Further, faster charging, further. Its autopilot is amazing. Oh, and it's like a tenth of the cost.
Well, and Tesla sold off their autopilot division, didn't they?
Yeah. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy, baby. Matt's supposed to be here. I don't know. Maybe he's on the big plane. It's going to be great. The Chinese. What about them? Oh, good God. What a day. So it is Friday Junior. Is that what I call it? Friday Light?
Small Friday?
Small Friday?
Yeah, Little Friday.
Little Friday. One of those. It was Little Friday. Matt's going to be in here coming up. So we get ready. I think today is Matt's Friday because I think he quit for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he's taking tomorrow
What a
off.
quitter. Swear. Some people, you know who you are. We're going to finish the show straight ahead. Don't you go anywhere, okay, on Little Friday. Chad Benson Show. Rocking and rolling, little Friday. All right, let's hear a story of Matt Murphy in here talking about how he got all the jobs. He lied to somebody we all know.
I'm a little intimidated
by
the backwards hat. That's a little intimidating.
You like that?
I feel like you know what you look like? You know what Chad looks like, guys? Y'all remember this the fabulous Sylvester Stallone movie, Over the Top?
Over the Top. Phenomenal movie.
Oh, yeah.
Was that the one where they were arm wrestlers?
Absolutely. And Chad looks like one of the guys in one of the scenes where everybody's arm wrestling and they're turning their hats around.
Let's do it.
You know what I'm saying? You're not like one of the head. You're just like one of the guys in the background drinking a beer. Going, get it in, Bruno. You could do it, man. Oh yeah. Stallone didn't want to do that movie, and they threw so much money at it.
They said, "Hey, how does $3 million sound?" And it was like 1985. He said, "It sounds like great."
Sounds like I'm doing an arm wrestling movie.
I can't wait for this. It's gonna be awesome. Rocky's one of the best movies of all time.
So y'all were talking about the how to get jobs, right? So I've told Dan this story on the air. I've told the story on the air before, but you've not heard it, Chad. So, obviously, this comes with a little bit of, sadness and tragedy because Phil Valentine had passed away. And in the midst of Phil getting very sick and passing away, Dan, who was PD at the time, got inundated with because it's a very desirable job. Nashville's a very desirable city. And he had, literally hundreds of people hitting him up. And I just emailed him and said, "Hey, I'm here for you if you need anything." He's like, "Okay." And then he didn't get the hint, and so I emailed him back again and said, "Hey, I've talked to my folks down here. We work for the same company. I'm interested in the job. I'd love to talk with you about it." And he said, "Well, send me, a 10-minute, segment." I was like, "Okay." And so I sent him a 10-minute segment. And when I sent him the 10-minute segment, I said, "By the way, I'm in town this weekend visiting some friends. I'm in town. I'm already going to be there. I got some buddies. We're going to be hanging out if you want to get together." And I didn't hear anything back. This was like on a Monday.
Yeah, Dan's thinking, I don't hang out with people.
Right. Exactly. And so, and I'm thinking, well, okay. So, on Thursday, Mandis, now that I know Mandis, all of this makes sense. I love him to death. But, I mean, at the time, I'm like, man, he's playing me. But, on a Thursday afternoon, he shoots me an email and said, "Did you say you were going to be in town this weekend?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'm visiting friends." And he goes, "Oh, okay, so you're already coming to town." I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, well, let's get together Saturday." And I was like, "Okay." And so we got together Saturday at we now call it our Starbucks in Hermitage. And talked for 2 hours, Dan was late. He also is on record as saying he was hungover, but whatever. And I didn't notice. And Dan said to me one day, and then I did fill in, I did like 3 fill-in shows, and then they asked me if I wanted the job. And so Dan told me later on, like 4 or 5 months into my tenure, he said, "I knew I was going to hire you that morning we met at Starbucks." He said, "I just needed you to, go on the air and, make sure that you're a fit. But I knew that it was going to work out." And I said, "Well, I need to tell you something about that." And he said, "What?" And I said, "I don't have any friends in Nashville." And he goes, "What?" He said, I never would have met with you if you were just coming up here for that." And I was like, "I know. That's the whole point." So I told him, I was like, "I'm already going to be there, dude." It wasn't a big deal, but I knew, and here's the thing, I knew that if I could get in front of him, I could get the job.
That's it. Well, and that's what we're talking about. If you know how to network and you know how to do stuff right, you and I have talked about this when it comes to listeners who are mad at us. Sit down and meet me for a second.
Let's talk.
Break some bread. Let's talk. Let's watch how you change.
That's right.
Right.
And so I felt like, Dan probably had 150, 200 applications from all across the country, but I really felt like.
What you guys don't know about Dan is he is a freaking go-getter.
Oh.
That guy.
Mandis?
He just nonstop go-getting.
If it's to be gotten, he gets it. But actually, Dan's insane. Dan will do talk radio for 24 hours straight.
Yeah, as long as he will talk to anybody.
If they like.
The only question I have about that entire story is how the hell do you get a hangover from sangria?
I don't know.
That's a cool story. That's a smart thing to do.
He was 30 minutes late, though.
That's a smart thing to do. I mean,
You know?
of course he was 30.
Well, but no, I mean, the idea is get in front of somebody and showcase your talents and show them that you're
Yes.
personable, and it goes a long way.
And the problem is, many of you are not personable, and we know that.
That's too bad. My firing stories are a lot better. Firing stories are a lot better in radio.
Oh, you know what? Tomorrow it's
Do that.
Firing Friday tomorrow, guys.
Oh, in the spirit of Firing Friday, I'm just not going to be here.
That's
I'm
right.
just not
That's
even
right.
gonna show
Yeah,
up.
you're off. Today is your Friday. No little Friday for you, baby.
Friday Junior.
Matt's ready to head back.